There is a story of the nameless narrator, an ordinary office worker who is slowly going crazy, in a world where everything is for sale and everything can be bought. A man who finds himself pulled into a fight not against some outside enemy, but simply to feel truly alive again in the age of total consumption. The film very accurately caught the spirit of the time. Empty apartments filled with IKEA furniture, endless business trips, corporate jungles, chronic insomnia, and the heavy feeling that you are just another consumer unit. This is the life that millions of people leave behind the walls of their comfortable cages, and it's exactly into this life that the narrator was fully immersed until he met Tyler. At first glance, it seems that this is a film about fights, male aggression, and rebellion against the system. A powerful story of chaos. An underground fight club where men beat each other until they bleed just to feel alive for a few minutes. We watch how a small secret group grows into a whole army, Project Mayhem, which begins to literally blow up the symbols of consumer society. And beneath all the violence and explosions lies a revelation that does not just shock the audience. It forces a complete rethinking of who the narrator is and what his journey has really been about. It's tempting to see the whole story as a direct assault on consumer culture and modern emptiness. But the film is doing something more subtle than that. It doesn't show us a man escaping one life. It shows us how easily any intense path can become its own kind of prison. And yes, the physical fights you see are symbolic, because the real fight in this film does not happen with fists and not on the streets. It happens inside the head of the main character. And the most important thing is that the film shows two routines, not one. The first routine is the classic consumer life. A job you hate, an apartment you fill with Swedish furniture, a car you choose by brand, and a house whose size is supposed to show your status. You think this is what successful life looks like. In reality, it's a cage. The second routine appears when the narrator meets Tyler. Now instead of IKEA, there are underground fights. Instead of a career, there is Project Mayhem. Instead of comfort, there is pain and chaos. It seems he broke free. But in fact, he simply replaced one addiction with another. He moved from the consumer routine to the routine of destruction and blind obedience to an idea.
The things you own end up owning you.
Tyler says this for a reason. He shows how easily we trade one set of chains for another. First, you are a slave to your sofa and car. Then you become a slave to the idea we must destroy everything. In both cases, you stop being free. The real goal of the film is not to move from one routine to another. The real goal is to find inner freedom. And you can remain an office worker and still be free. The main thing is not to become attached to furniture, car brands, house size, and what other people think about you.
You are not your job. You're not how much money you have in the bank. You're not the car you drive. You're not the contents of your wallet.
You are not your job. You are not the money in your bank account. You are not the car you drive. You are not the contents of your wallet. This is what real freedom is. You can find it even in an office, if inside you there is no dependence on all this external stuff. You can go to work and not be its slave. You can live in an apartment and not let the apartment define who you are. The film shows very well how easily a disappointed person can trade one cage for another, how quickly fighting against turns into a new form of dependence, how thin the line is between freedom and a new kind of slavery. One of the key ideas is identity. Who are you when you have no things, no status and no future? What will remain if we take away everything you used to define yourself by? That's why the moment when everything collapses becomes not the end, but the beginning.
It's only after we've lost everything that we're free to do anything.
The narrator and Tyler are two sides of the same person. One is a slave to the consumer system. The other is its complete opposite. And only when they meet face to face does the chance for a real choice and a real freedom appear.
This is your life, and it's ending 1 minute at a time.
The film does not give instructions on how to blow up the system. It gives a mirror. A tough, cynical and very painful mirror. It's scarier to look into it, but it's even scarier to keep living the old way. Fight Club is a story about how a man searches for freedom and almost becomes a slave to his own idea of freedom along the way. It's about the fact that the real revolution does not happen on the streets or in basements, but inside you. Because deep down, almost every one of us sometimes wants to meet our own Tyler. We all want to finally feel that we are alive. And the most important thing is to understand that Tyler is already here. He has always been here. The only question is whether you will let him control your life or learn to be free yourself.